What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing today? How's everybody doing this morning? It feels like usually when I'm talking to you guys, it's like late at night. It's the late night view or it's a match reaction. Very rarely I do like a morning show or something like that. So how is everybody doing? Hope everyone's having a great Thursday morning or great Thursday evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Because, of course, we've got a global audience here at United View as well. So, as always, let me know where you're watching from. Also, a happy Diwali to all the people who are observing the Festival of Lights as well today. So, important day, busy day. But, of course, it's a busy weekend as well. The matches keep coming, don't they? Thick and fast. This is the thing. When you're a Manchester United fan, irrespective of if the result's good, bad, in the middle, whatever you think, like, you don't really have a lot of time to sort of sit on it, ruminate, think about, is it good, is it bad, because there's another game just appears just like that. It's crazy, isn't it? You know, I think that's why I react so badly. I'm speaking for myself here, but that's why I react so badly when we have international breaks, because we have this like a week period, 2 weeks period where we don't have anything Manchester United in terms of matches, and you go a bit stir crazy because you're just so used, or certainly I am, just so used to every 3 days, right? There's a game, focus on the next one. Okay, we've got to talk about the next game. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. So there's always something going on in the world of Manchester United. And we are going to talk about, of course, the big Manchester derby at the weekend as well. Let's have a look in the free seats. DJ's with us this morning, virtually, not in person, but he's with us this morning. Says, morning, brother. I hope you're doing well, DJ. Path says, watching from India. Minroy says, watching from India as well. Samuel says, Demella. Red Devil says, hi, Owen, it's 7 p.m. here in Singapore. I know I say this all the time, and I know I repeat myself all the time when I talk about stuff like this, but it's crazy. It always blows my mind, like how much of a global audience we have here on United View. It's awesome. I love it because I'm absolutely one of those people that subscribes to, you know, you can be a Manchester United fan wherever you're from. Don't get it twisted. Don't hear the people that say, oh, you know, I'm struggling to hear through your Mancunian accent, all that kind of stuff. No, if you're from another country, what are you supposed to? You can still support Manchester United. Manchester United isn't off limits to anyone. Come on. We're a global fan base. We're a global club. We're a global community. You can support Manchester United however you want, wherever you're from, in whatever way you want to do it. And that's what United View is all about. It's all about community, sharing opinions, embracing other people's opinions, even if they're different to yourself. That's what it's all about here. That's what it's all about here on the channel. Manny says, watching from Nashville, Tennessee. Big up yourself, Manny. A zombie virus. Oh, gosh. Says, good day from down under. Good day to yourself. So let's talk about, obviously, the game at the weekend. We have a Manchester derby coming up. We do have a big match coming up at the weekend. This is the third game, right, when all that speculation and all that stuff was going on about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after the Liverpool defeat. This is game 3 of the 3 games to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to turn it around. Has he turned it around? You can let me know in the free seats if you think he has. This is what's so weird for me about football, is that if we beat Man City at the weekend, and I will share like my predictions on the starting lineups and the scores and all that kind of stuff, but if we beat Man City at the weekend, we go level on points with Manchester City. And I'm really remiss to sound like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I really don't want to sound like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in talking about fine margins. And, it's fine margins, right? It's fine margins. It's fine margins football. But it is crazy how so much can change after like one victory or one game. Because realistically, and this is me trying to start off as positive as possible. It's still early in the day. I'll get more negative as the day goes on. But if we do win the game, we do go level on points with City. We'll be on 20 points. And that's crazy, considering our form recently. We have one win in our last 5 Premier League games, and that was our most recent game against Spurs. We are in 1 win out of 5. Now, Manchester City, they lost their last game, of course. They lost at the Etihad against Crystal Palace last weekend in a bit of a shock result, although they do have like a spotty record against Crystal Palace, don't they? But they lost their last game. But apart from that, I think they're like 4 wins out of 5. So they were on this big streak coming into it. So even though we won our last game, they lost our last game, they're still arguably, well, not arguably, they are in better form than Manchester United. So But, in fairness, like I said, if we win the game at the weekend and you look at the table, you'd be like, oh, maybe things aren't bad. Perkins says, I'm more confused now more than ever. I would agree with you. It's a very confusing time at the moment. Very confusing time. Nathan Miller says, Pogba is going, so why don't we just play Van der Beek? That global fan power should be able to get Ollie and the Glazers out. We should have to unite and stop buying merchandise, choke the Glazers' money. We'll talk about Paul Pogba, because obviously there is a bit of a Paul Pogba story coming out this morning. G421 says, Owen, level on points, that's a job saver. It certainly could be. Certainly could be a job saver. There's no doubt about that. So as I mentioned, we're 1 win out of our last 5, which was our last one against a very poor Spurs side. Make no mistake about that. I think going into the game against Atalanta on Tuesday, there was a little bit of optimism, wasn't there? There was a little bit of a feeling of, well, we did play reasonably well. We won 3-0 away from home, new system. Maybe there is something to be optimistic about. And then we actually saw a decent side, not even a world-class side. Atalanta, a very good outfit. Make no mistake about it. But they're not Manchester City. And we struggled. We still struggled on Tuesday. And it kind of, was a slap in the face of reality. Like in cartoons where they go, snap out of it. And they do like the 2 slaps. They go, bam, bam. Like that was one against Atalanta. I have a feeling the bigger one is coming on Saturday. I have a feeling like reality is going to fully, bang, right in the face at Saturday lunchtime. So again, this is... I'm trying my best to be optimistic, guys. I really am. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well. Be sure to subscribe button right-hand corner. So the big one going into the game, obviously, at the weekend is the Varane injury. Varane had just come back, obviously, from his injury he picked up on international duty while he was away with France with the Nations League. Then he plays against Spurs. We keep a clean sheet first and foremost, but we look a bit more resolute. And then obviously we play Atalanta on Tuesday and he limps off. The club has since confirmed that Varane has sustained a hamstring injury. It's expected that he's going to be out of action for around a month. So he ain't playing at the weekend. He was never going to play at the weekend. As soon as he came off, and even before the club said it's a month, as soon as I think it was Solskjaer said after the game, hamstring injury, if you do your hamstring on like a Tuesday, you don't play on a Saturday. You just, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when it comes to, playing people that need surgery or playing people that are like really injured or whatever it may be, you can't play hamstring because it will snap and then you're gone for the rest of the season or whatever. So Varane isn't going to be around for the weekend, but he isn't going to be around for a month as well. It does open up, of course, the discussion of, is Raphael Varane injury prone? I don't necessarily know if that's the conversation to have right now. It's a concern, and I think anyone that was a Real Madrid fan or followed Real Madrid would probably tell Man United fans, this happens. Raphael Varane doesn't tend to play a whole season. And he is injury prone. You do have to manage him properly, which could certainly then get into the discussion point, which I can see you guys talking about in the live chat as well, that we saw what happened when it came to Harry Maguire. That, I think it was from the Telegraph last night, came out, didn't it? And it said that when Maguire came back against Leicester, he was like 7 or 10 days away from actually being able to return to full action. They rushed him back. And there are some people saying, well, considering that Varane was injured, he comes back, plays against Spurs, and then plays, 3 days later and pulls a hamstring. Does that imply that maybe he's not just injury prone, maybe he has to be managed better, but we rushed him back as well, and we didn't manage his return from injury too? That's something to consider as well. But we have no Varane. We have no Varane at the weekend, and that is concerning because we need our best players. What does Sir Alex Ferguson say? Always start your best players. So not having Varane, that's concerning. Victor Lindelof, we don't really know too much about his status right now. He obviously didn't travel with the squad to Italy for the Champions League game. Solskjaer said in the press conference on Monday that he picked up a knock in training at Carrington. We don't know if that's a precaution, if he's going to make it back for the weekend. But now, from going from a period of playing 3 at the back, we might have 2 centre-backs out injured, which does open up the conversation about what formation we're going to play as well. So, again, it's a tricky one. People are saying enter Phil Jones. Oh God, I hope not. No disrespect, Phil, but like the guy hasn't played for 18 months, and it's Phil Jones. The Manchester derby is not the one. But talking about rushing people back, if Victor Lindelof's got a knock and he's 50-50, will Solskjaer rush him back at the weekend as well? Or will he go to a 4-2-3-1 and play Maguire and Bailly? These are big questions. These are absolutely big questions. So it is an interesting one. This is my kind of feeling on it going into the game as well on Saturday. And I know I use this analogy all the time, but it's Groundhog Day. It is so parallel. It's like poetry. This almost rhymes with each other, right? In that, what happened? We played Atalanta at home in the Champions League. What happened in that game? We had to come back. We scored a late goal. It was a winner, but we scored a late goal by Ronaldo. The next game was at Old Trafford. It was a derby. It was against Liverpool. What happened? We lost 5-0. Even though we won against Atalanta in that game at home at Old Trafford, even though we had that last-minute goal and there was a feeling of euphoria and fans were euphoric and jubilant, going, oh, yes, classic Old Trafford nights, under the lights in Europe, all that kind of stuff. Even though that happened, there was a proportion of people saying, look, we didn't play well tonight. Paul Scholes said it on BT Sport before the game happened. He said, look, play like that against Liverpool and see what happens. Play like that against Liverpool, you will get slapped around the pitch. And that's exactly what happened. And it does feel like we're in Groundhog Day. It does feel like we're in some sort of weird poetry right now in the sense that this rhymes. This rhymes with what happens before. This feels like Groundhog Day in that we played Atalanta in the Champions League. We had to come back from behind. We scored a late goal. Granted, we didn't win the game. But after the game on Tuesday, there was a feeling of euphoria. There was a feeling of, we came back. Ronaldo does it at the death again. And amazing Champions League night, all that kind of stuff. And then there has to be this reality check. There has to be this reality check of, oh no, we're playing Manchester City in a derby at Old Trafford on Saturday. This might not go well. There is a little bit, I guess, of a feeling of optimism of maybe that momentum will carry us through. But also, a lot of people are being realistic. A lot of people are being pragmatic and going, if we play like that, like we played on Tuesday against Man City, we will be in a lot of trouble. We will be in a lot of trouble. Because Manchester City, they will be clinical. They obviously are unbelievably well coached. They have arguably the best coach in the world. They have world-class players. We can't play how we've been playing recently because they will rip us apart. They just will. They will absolutely rip us apart. Now, obviously, Solskjaer does have a good record. He does have a good record against Pep. He does have a good record against Manchester City. He also had a good record against Liverpool. Liverpool hadn't won at Old Trafford in something like however many years. It was a long period of time, wasn't it? Especially in the league. That vanished. So I'm almost remiss to kind of look back on history like that. I'm kind of, I don't like really to look that much back on the sort of the history and go, well, he has a good record against so-and-so. Man, this is a different season. This is a different time. It really is. So that's my concern, is that it feels like Groundhog Day. I feel like Bill Murray. It's Groundhog Day again in that late Champions League goal, derby at the weekend at Old Trafford. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Now, Ian says, Owen, form goes out of the window when it comes to derbies. That is true, and that is what they say. But form did not go out the window when we played Liverpool. That form, it went exactly to form at Old Trafford when we played Liverpool, in the sense that they were playing really, really well. We weren't, and they beat us. Like, things are going to form at the moment. It certainly feels like. Anyway, let's move on and let's talk about the formations. Let's talk about the tactics. So obviously, the big question would be, with Varane out, does Ollie stick with the back five? Is he going to stick with that formation? It's a difficult one because, of course, when Varane went off injured, Solskjaer reverted back to a back four. He had Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Bailly and Shaw. Now, if he has Lindelof available, will he revert back to the back five this weekend? Varane, he's definitely out the picture. We know that. Lindelof, we don't know. We'll find out tomorrow when it comes to the press conference, certainly. If Lindelof is back, which I think he will, I think even if Lindelof has a knock, I think Solskjaer will risk him because I think the game is obviously crucial to him, his future, and just trying to keep up with the teams that are flying ahead of us. I think he will play. So I think if Victor Lindelof is available, I think he will stick with the back five. my team that I think he'll go with. Not necessarily the team I would pick, but I'm trying to get into the mind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, heaven forbid, but I'm trying to get into the mind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he'll probably stick with that back five. I think he'll go with De Gea. I think he'll go with Wan-Bissaka. I think Lindelof will play. I think he'll go with Maguire. I think Bailly will stay. And Bailly played very well. He was one of our better players on the pitch on Tuesday. So he deserves to play as well. Left wing back, I think he'll go with Luke Shaw. Midfield, McFred, because he will. I mean, it's a big game. And whenever the pressure's on, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whenever it's a big game, he always goes to McFred. That's not in any shadow of a doubt. I know that Donny van de Beek played well when he came on for his cameo. But I would be floored if Donny van de Beek played at the weekend. I wouldn't be against it, but I don't think it's going to happen. You have to be realistic at the same time. So McFred's going to be in there. We know that. Bruno Fernandes is going to be in there. It's Bruno Fernandes. And I think the front two will be Cavani and Ronaldo once again from the past weekend, which, again, I think was the right decision. I do think was the right decision to rotate Cavani out against Atalanta because... knowing Cavani's injury record and his fitness record, can he play 3 games in 7 days at 34 years old? Probably not. So it was the right decision, but he did come on eventually. But I think considering how well Cavani and Ronaldo played with each other last week, I think Cavani and Ronaldo will start up front together. So I do think the back five is here to stay. If Varane hadn't come off in the week, he'd have stuck to that. He only went back to the back four because essentially he felt that he was kind of forced to. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think when it comes to the team selection. Do you think he's going to stick with that back five? Do you think he's going to go back to the back four, the 4-2-3-1? And what team selection do you think it's going to be as well? I think he'll stick with the back five, I do. And like I said, I think Lindelof will probably make it, so I think Lindelof will come in and Cavani will come back in as well. Rashford will drop to the bench too. Obviously, Pogba is suspended. So Paul Pogba's not going to be playing at the weekend. I do want to touch on this Paul Pogba story here. Mohammed says back seven, you mean? Well, yeah. Pogba's suspended. Now, obviously, there's a news story because it's a new day, but there's a new story about Paul Pogba that's come out this morning from Samuel Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News. And he is reporting that sources say that Paul Pogba has not shown any inclination to commit to Manchester United. This is an interesting one because these stories, and they will become more frequent. I had to almost catch myself there because I was going to say these stories are going to become more frequent as time goes on, but of course they are. Because they are an inclination that something isn't happening, and that what I mean isn't happening is Paul Pogba putting his signature on a contract. As time goes on, and I'm not saying that Samuel Luckhurst is speculating, because it's not difficult to see that Paul Pogba might be, going elsewhere. He's was it before the Atalanta game? There was another story about Juventus. There have been a couple of stories now, actually, haven't there, about Juventus or Pogba saying to Mino Raiola, seek out a move to Juventus, seek out a move back to Italy. He's interested in going to Real Madrid. Real Madrid don't think it'll be too difficult now to secure his signature. There was a weird story, wasn't there, about Xavi in Barcelona saying that he wanted to build his new version of Barcelona around Paul Pogba, like they can afford it, by the way. That's what I kind of... That's the only thing that I look at these stories and I go, huh? Because reportedly, and I don't think it's a money issue. I've said this before. I don't think it's a money issue with Paul Pogba. Because if it was a money issue, Manchester United would pay it and Paul Pogba would have signed by now. I do think it's a success thing. I do think Paul Pogba wants to be at a club that's winning things. I do think Paul Pogba wants to wait it out and see if Manchester United is going to win anything this season or if they're going to be even close to winning anything this season. At the moment, doesn't look like it, which I think is why it's taking so long with Paul Pogba. But at the same time, when he talks about Juventus, when he talks about Barcelona, I go, well, you're not getting anything then. You're not going to get, if you go to Juventus, right, where are Juventus in Serie A right now? They're like 7th or 8th. They're like mid-table. They're really struggling right now, post-Ronaldo. Really struggling. They've got Allegri back at the club and they're still struggling. He's not going to get the finances either. So if you're going back to Juventus, what are you going back for? Are you just going back just to be the main guy, just the centre of attention, just to be the focal point of that team? I'm going to be the talisman. And even to like Juventus, I would say, well, that's what he was meant to be at Manchester United. When he came in 2016, he was meant to be the guy that spurred us on, that we were going to build the team around, and it really hasn't worked. It hasn't worked because Paul Pogba's not that guy. Paul Pogba is not Cristiano Ronaldo in the sense that you drop him into a team and he just does his thing and you just go up to another level. We've seen that. That doesn't happen. So if he's going to go back to Juventus, he's not getting the money he would get at Manchester United, and he's not even going to get the success. Because Juventus are like mid-table at the moment. Now, obviously, that could change very quickly in Italy. But you've got, AC Milan, Napoli. Even Jose's doing his thing with Roma. Atalanta. There are clubs that are competing right now, and Juventus isn't one of it. So I really don't think. I can understand his sort of the romance of him returning to Italy and returning to Turin and all that kind of stuff, but from both sides of it, I just don't really get that. Unless it is literally, I'm going to be the quarterback of this side. If we're going to talk like from a franchise point of view, I'm the franchise player. I'm going to come back in. There's a void there since Ronaldo left to be the guy at Juventus, and I'm going to be the guy. But I would then say, it's no guarantee you're going to win anything there. If you're looking for guarantees of trophies, that's not going to happen at Juventus at the moment. Barcelona, they can't afford you. They can't even fill out the stadium at the moment in their last game, and it might change when Xavi comes back and all that kind of stuff, but their last game, Nou Camp's like 100,000 people. I think they had like 38,000 people there to watch a La Liga game. And we know their financial issues. That's why, Messi and Griezmann and all of those guys have gone and they've had to take pay cuts. So Paul Pogba's not getting that amount of money at Barcelona. And he's certainly not going to get the trophies at Barcelona as well. They're struggling too. Real Madrid, that is a possibility. That would be the one that I would go, I can understand that one. That from his point of view of, well, I can go there and I will be competing for trophies and I will be challenging for league titles. I can understand that if it's purely a success point of view. But I've said this before when it comes to Pogba. And this was my position from the beginning of, even before the season started. And it's kind of the same now in the sense that I think he's just waiting it out. I really just think he's just going to wait it out. I think he's going to look at, I'll wait till the end of the season or I'll wait till December, January, once he can start speaking to clubs in Europe. And I'll have a look around and I'll look at United and I'll try and assess things and I'll say, is Manchester United close to winning anything right now? If not right now, in the next 12 months, are we close to challenging for a league title? Are we close to challenging for a Champions League or whatever? The answer right now is no. We're not. We should be closer. We absolutely should be closer. Should be winning the league title? I'm not sure really anyone thought we were going to win the league title this season, but there was certainly an expectation to challenge, at least go further than we have in the last couple of years. When you sign Varane, when you sign Sancho, when you sign Cristiano Ronaldo, for goodness sake, there would be a feeling like we can go a bit closer. And I think Pogba will look around and say, we're not going to win anything anytime soon. And, FA Cup, do I want to stay for an FA Cup? Not the League Cup either, because we're out. And I think that's ultimately what it does come down to. I really, really do. I think it comes down to Paul Pogba wanting to win things. And I don't think he thinks he can do that right now at Manchester United. Now, obviously, there is a portion of fans as well that are saying, go. You didn't play well on Tuesday. And there are some people saying that getting Pogba into this side is becoming increasingly difficult in all of these different systems or formations that we're playing as well. So this one's an evolving thing. Unfortunately, it's not going to end. These stories about Paul Pogba, Juventus, PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid, you name it, they're just going to keep coming. They're just going to keep coming until the day that Paul Pogba either signs a contract with Manchester United or he announces that he's leaving and he's going to sign somewhere else. It's going to continue. That's it. That's literally it. It's just going to continue on and on and on and on and on. And that's the Paul Pogba saga, the Paul Pogba pantomime, as we've called it before. It will continue on, and that's it. So going back to the game, because there is a game, and I don't want to talk about someone too much that isn't going to be involved in the game. It is a match preview. Actually, let me know, before I get onto the rest of the match preview, let me know, do you think Pogba's going to stay or not? Do you think Pogba's going to stay or not? There's a lot of people talking in the live chat about this Pogba scenario. DJ Talks, big DJ, follow him at DJ Talks _ on Twitter, by the way, as well, says, we will potentially lose Martial, Donny, Lingard, Pogba, Cavani. We may need another summer of big spending. Interesting. We could. Absolutely we could. Let's see what else. Ian says, Kazan says, I don't think he'll stay. Ian says, I think he leaves. There is a growing feeling that he probably will go. J287 says Pogba's gone. Wake up. I am awake. It does look like I'm tired, doesn't it? I'm just not a morning guy. I'm really not a morning guy. But Pogba, I think, is on his way out. I do. Unless something plays out in terms of something drastically turns around, or there is a change in manager or something like that, and he feels re-energized. There was a thing, wasn't there, about Harry Kane, in that he feels re-energized now that Conte's back in and he's not going to leave Spurs. Maybe that might be the case with Pogba. Who knows? But who knows? Pogba, it's a constant saga. Martin James says it's a shame how the Pogba saga is playing out. Considering he came from the Man United youth, I think he leaves. So there is a general consensus here that he might leave. Although Joshua Lewis says Pogba will stay. I think he's being misunderstood. Interesting. Okay, so let's move back on to the game at the weekend on Saturday, the Manchester derby. So going back to the team selection, I do think that Solskjaer liked what he saw against Spurs, so I think he'll stick with that as much of it as he can, of course, without Varane. So Ronaldo and Cavani, they were a positive. They did play well. They did link up together. I've been saying it for a while that I think that I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I do think they can play together. It's about finding a system that you can fit them both in. They are a positive. They do offer something. McFred is starting because he loves them, especially in those big games. It would be, at this point, it would be more of a surprise if Scott McTominay and Fred didn't start against Manchester City, or one of them didn't start against Manchester City. If we saw, I don't know, Fred, Bruno, and Donny van de Beek, people would be stunned. Might be happy, but people would be stunned. I would be stunned. I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He must be really desperate. But it's just not going to happen. Scott McTominay and Fred are going to start. And in fairness to them, I think when we played them at the Etihad last season, McTominay and Fred played well. They really did. And their energy, the passion and desire is kind of suited to these games, I suppose. But he trusts them. He absolutely trusts them. McTominay played very well at the weekend. Last weekend against Spurs, in the week, he didn't play very well at all. Maybe it's about finding that consistency. I don't know. But as I mentioned, Donny van de Beek and Sancho both came on for the last few minutes against Atalanta on Tuesday. Donny was actually setting up the goal, started that whole move for the goal, but they're not playing. They're not playing. Certainly, Donny van de Beek is not playing. I mean, I would be very surprised. Sancho, if he decides to revert, Sancho's got, in my opinion, has a better chance of starting on Saturday, just because of the Varane injury, and maybe if Lindelof isn't back and he does revert to that 4-2-3-1, then obviously Sancho does have a chance to start in that formation. So that could be the place that Sancho starts, but I just don't know if I necessarily see that. Also, as well, I mean, I know we scored when we were in the 4-2-3-1 on Tuesday, but again, that's the same formation we played against Liverpool. We got absolutely ripped apart, and that 4-2-3-1 just isn't working. It just isn't working. So I don't know if I really want to see that. As far as a lot of people are talking about Solskjaer's future, obviously, and, is Solskjaer in trouble for this game? Is this the big one? For now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is safe. Had we lost against Atalanta, I don't think it would have changed anything. If we'd have lost 3-0 in Italy on Tuesday, he would have still been in the dugouts for Saturday at Old Trafford against Manchester City. They were never going to get rid of him after even the Spurs game. They weren't going to get rid of him after the Spurs game because there was games too quickly close together. This is the game, though, where I do think that he will be certainly very aware that he could be in a little bit of danger here, I think. Arguably, an argument could be made that he's in more danger, potentially. This game is more dangerous for him than after the Liverpool game. Ultimately, and we know this now, ultimately the reason that the Manchester United board did not pull the trigger after that Liverpool game is because they didn't have a succession plan and they didn't have time. They didn't have time. They didn't have the succession plan of who would be coming as an interim manager, who would come in to be, the person on the market that we want to sign. It was never going to be Conte. The board didn't want Conte. They were scared of Conte because they had to lose power to Antonio Conte. It's like Game of Thrones, I know, but it's true. So they didn't have a succession plan and they didn't have time. They saw the next 3 games. They saw Spurs, Atalanta, and Manchester City coming up in a 7-day period, and they said, we don't have the time to let go of the manager, the coaching staff, and put someone in. We know realistically they could have, but they didn't think they had the time. We know. how Manchester United do deals. We know how long it takes for Manchester United to sign a player, let alone a manager and his coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. And I think they thought, look, if, say, Darren Fletcher takes the team, because it wouldn't have been Carrick and McKenna because they were there under Jose. It would have been back-to-back failures. Arguably, it is back-to-back failures for that coaching staff. So it wasn't going to be them. It maybe would have been a Darren Fletcher or whatever. They said, do we really want to have Darren Fletcher taking us to Spurs, Atalanta, and Man City in 7 days? We could lose all 3 games. So they decided, you know what, when it comes to Ollie, we'll give him 3 games to turn it around. Can you turn anything around in that time period? I don't know. And ultimately, the board will look at it as, well, we got a win against Spurs. We got a draw in Atalanta. And that's possibly better than we would have done or what we would have got if we had an interim coach. So I think they'll be happy with that. I really do, which speaks volumes. It does speak volumes, but I think they'll be happy with that. But what I will say is that if we do lose against Manchester City, and not in the sense of if it's a tight game, it's a 2-1 or whatever, there'll be pressure on. But if we see a result in the same vein to Liverpool, if we see a similar performance like we saw against Liverpool at Old Trafford, which after watching Tuesday, in my opinion, is a possibility. I'm sorry to say I don't want to be negative, but I do have I can't forget what happened just a couple of weeks ago. I know it's been a couple of weeks and football moves so quickly, but I can't just forget it. If something like that happened again, then he would be in a bit of trouble, I do think. The reason why I say that is because there is a 2 weeks of an international break after this game. After this game, Manchester United don't have a game for 2 weeks. And that is more than enough time. That is plenty of time for the board to have discussions, to make decisions, and to make new deals if they need to. We know how slow Manchester United are to act, and this might give them enough time. Now, again, I know I'm talking in hypotheticals here, and I don't necessarily want to. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be talking about someone. I don't want to be talking someone out of a job when, one, the match hasn't happened, or the decision hasn't happened. So I'm really hesitant to say that. But the point I'm trying to make is that I do think it's a big game. I do think it's a really big game, and it's an important game for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I do think if he gets through it, put it this way, if he wins, he's staying to the end of the season, I think. If he draws, he's staying to the end of the season. Even if he loses and it's like a tight one and we do show a bit of grit and there is a little bit of a performance there, he will stay to the end of the season, which is what they want, which is what ultimately the board wants. The board, even from the beginning of this season, I think they thought, with the players that we have now in that squad, with the players that we have, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it is Bruno Fernandes, whether it is Varane, De Gea, the list goes on of all of these stars, Cavani, I think that the board thought we should be challenging, we should be a lot closer, but we'll wait and see at the end of the season. And that's what I've said since the beginning of the season, is that Solskjaer will be judged at the end of the season, and they'll look at him and say, okay, did you get close to winning anything? Were you challenging for a league? How far did you go in the Champions League? Did you win an FA Cup? Whatever. They will look at that. Now, for us as fans, that might not be good enough because we're expecting, we expect a higher standard at Manchester United, but the board ultimately don't want to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They don't. They don't want to let go of the manager. We know that Ed Woodward's meant to be leaving at the end of the year. Whether or not that happens or that gets pushed back, there's a lot going on. So I think that this period of time, this game specifically on Saturday, they'll just look at it and they'll just say, if he gets through it, he'll stay. He will. Those are the facts. They made the decision after the Liverpool game. I mentioned on Tuesday, they made their bed. They're laying in it right now. And they're just trying to figure out how long they're going to be laying in it for, or they're going to have to get out and do something about it. So that's what we'll see. That's what we'll see. Prediction-wise, look, Ole has a decent record against Pep and Manchester City. But like I said earlier on, I don't really like to look on the history too much because it was mentioned earlier on in the live chat in the free seats that form does go out the window, but certainly history does as well. It doesn't count really for anything. And I'm trying to be optimistic. I just haven't seen a lot to make me super optimistic for the game on Saturday. The positive that we have is that I guess there is a bit of momentum after the late winner. We have players in our side, in our squad, that can just make magic at the drop of a hat. Cristiano Ronaldo, he's in form. Ronaldo could come up clutch once again. He's been doing it all season. When you have Cristiano Ronaldo in your side, you've always got a chance. And that's what we're living on right now. is that we have players. We have Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo. They're linking up pretty well. We have Edison Cavani playing in that side with Cristiano Ronaldo. They're linking up well. We do have people like Rashford, who I don't think will start, but he can come on. We've got Mason Greenwood. He can change the game as well. Helped, obviously, with that late equaliser against Atalanta in the week. We do have players that can make a difference. That's what we've got going for us. So who knows? I'm going to try and be positive. I'm going to, like I said, try to be positive, but I was going to say a draw. I think it'll be, I think we'll draw. I'm going to go with a draw. I guess the positive as well is that City are coming off into this on the back of a draw, on the back of a loss as well. They did play well in the Champions League last night. And it's a derby. It is a derby, and anything can happen. I do think it will be a draw, but come on, Owen. Let's be optimistic here. I'm going to go 2-1 Manchester United. I would be floored if we don't concede, though. I really would. We are just leaking goals at the moment. Varane came back, got a clean sheet last weekend, but without Varane, we're just shipping goals as well. So I do think we'll concede, and if we concede, that we've got to score goals again. So I think there'll be goals in this game. We ain't going to see a 0-0. Put it that way. We ain't seeing no 0-0. I'm going to go with. My head is telling me 2-2. Well, my head is telling me something else. I'm going to say 2-2 or 2-1 Man United I'm going to go with. But we do have goals on our side. And I think that is a positive that we have. But it's... I would be lying, and I try and be as honest as I can, really, really honest as I can with you guys. I would be lying if I said I'm really optimistic going into the game, because I'm not. because I'm not. Let me know your predictions in the live chat as well. We'll get through some predictions as well. NSL Music says 2-1 United. G421 says 2-2 draw. Ian says watch Maguire and Lindelof keep a clean sheet. I'd love it. I'd love it if they did. I'm not necessarily sure I see it, but I would love it if they did. Danish says 3-1 City. Kenneth Mayer says, I will be shocked if we don't concede 3 goals minimum. City have a good defence, so Ronnie gets 1 goal. Mohammed says 3-1 City. Kenneth says 3-1 City. G41 says, nobody is optimistic. LOL. Liam's feeling optimistic. He says, I'm feeling 2-1 United. Adol Subchak says 4-0 Man City. Lou Manu says 8-3 City. If honestly, I tell you now, Lou, if that happens, come back here, because that would be amazing. And I'll ask you what the lottery is at the same time, because you'd be on fire. Ronaldo scoring a hat trick. Malcolm says, "Oh, and you're taking the piss with that 1-1 prediction." I think. I just don't know. I'm not very good at predictions. I say this all the time. When because DJ messaged me every match day. He'll go, "What do you think today?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." I don't know. I'm not a gambling man either, so I'm terrible at predictions. I do think maybe 2-2, but I'm not feeling optimistic. I'm really, really not. I'm really not. Ian says, LOL, Owen picking a draw is him being optimistic. It is. Usually I would go 2-1 United. I really would. But that's just how I'm feeling right now. It is. Inner Soul says Michael Oliver is the referee. Unbelievable. Yeah, he is the referee. That was revealed yesterday. He's going to be the referee for the derby as well. So, Ollie Rotem says Ollie out, Owen in. I wouldn't want the job at the moment. Stefan Seals says 2-1 United. Ronaldo masterclass again. Look, even you have to remember, even in that Liverpool result, even in that Liverpool game, Ronaldo had that goal that was ruled out for offside, wasn't it? So even then, he still nearly got on the score sheet. Even when we were playing terrible and we're losing 5-0, Ronaldo still scores goals. So, good for him. Liam says, just have a feeling. Ollie will get the W. Lou Manu says, we will win if Ollie starts Donny. Oh, well, considering Lou Manu's going with like the 8-3 prediction, but saying we'll win if we start Donny, I don't think Donny is going to start. I really don't think Donny's going to start. You never know. And also, congratulations, Donny van der Beek. It was announced today that him and his partner are expecting a child. So it's plenty broody at the moment, Old Trafford, isn't it? Ronaldo's expecting twins. Donny van der Beek is expecting a child as well. So, yes, it is a big weekend, of course, coming up. Tomorrow we'll have the press conference. Going to be an interesting press conference. Because it'll be interesting, obviously, to get the updates. Obviously, we know the situation when it comes to Varane. We might get some more details about that. But specifically, when it comes to the Lindelof one, that will be interesting because that might change everyone's thinking, certainly about tactics. Because if he says, no, Victor Lindelof ain't playing, we know he's going back to the 4-2-3-1. That kind of changes everything because then that would mean Ronaldo's up front on his own, probably no Cavani. That would mean that Rashford, maybe Greenwood or Sancho comes into side. So it kind of does change everything. On that whole, is Victor Lindelof available or not? So that'll be interesting to see in the press conference tomorrow. And then obviously it'll be interesting to see what he says about, pressure, what he says about the game on Tuesday, because I get it, it's an away game in Europe, they're difficult, but we were celebrating a draw at the end of the day. So that'll be interesting as well. So we've got the press conference coming tomorrow. Saturday, of course, is match day. So we'll have usual match day experience. We'll have Flex and KG with the road. I'm doing the match view. I just remembered that, yeah. Oh, God. I always get the games that we might do terrible in. Last time I did the match view was the Liverpool game. And obviously that one was just a shambles. The match itself, it was so bad. KG was calling me halfway through the game, being like, "Yeah, everyone's left, and I'm here," and all that kind of stuff. So, no. So yeah, Saturday road trip with Flex and KG, which is always a lot of fun. Hopefully they don't go too big on the predictions like they did last time. That kind of came back to bite them a bit. Then we'll have, obviously, the match view, which I'll be doing on Saturday. Then we'll have the match reaction with DJ and myself. And then, obviously, we'll have all of the fan views after the game. Flex, KG, everyone in and around Old Trafford. So, really busy weekend of stuff coming up. Then, of course, Sunday, we'll have the full view. It'll be a full view Sunday, which is always a lot of fun to do as well. So plenty coming up this weekend. So now is the best time. Now is the best time to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, click the notification bell. You'll be notified every time we go live, every time a fan view or a video or a preview or whatever comes up as well. So be sure to do that. Bottom right-hand corner. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Plenty of content coming soon. I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Peace.